So the Bible reading today comes from Matthew 25, verses 1 to 13. So, parable of the 10 bridesmaids. Then the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 bridesmaids who took their lamps and went to the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish and 5 were wise. The 5 who were foolish didn't take enough olive oil for their lamps, but the 5 who were wise enough to take along extra oil. When the bridegroom was delayed, they all became drowsy and fell asleep. At midnight, they were roused by the shout, "Look, the bridegroom is coming. Come out and meet him." All the bridesmaids got up and prepared their lamps. Then the 5 foolish ones asked the others, "Please, give us some of your oil because our lamps are going out." But the others replied, "We don't have enough for all of us. Go to a shop and buy some for yourselves." But while they were gone to buy oil, the bridegroom came. Then those who were ready went in with him to the marriage feast, and the door was locked. Later, when the other 5 bridesmaids returned, they stood outside calling, "Lord, Lord, open the door for us." But he called back, "Believe me, I don't know you. So you too must keep watch, for you do not know the day or hour of my return." Sam Chan will now give the talk.
So my wife, Stephanie, her birthday was coming up. So I told her, this year I don't have a present for you. And she said, "Oh, that's all right. I don't want a present." And I said, "Are you sure now? Because I really don't have a present for you." And she said, "Yeah, it's fine. I don't want a present." But on the day of her birthday, she says to me, "So really, there's no present?" I say, "Yeah, there is no present." "So you didn't even get me a card?" I said, No card. "So nothing. I said, "But you said you didn't want me to buy you a present." But she said, "But you still could have got me a present." I'm thinking, how do you win at this? You have to do the opposite of what you're told. And maybe that's how life feels for us, because we get told to do whatever it takes to be happy. We get told to be fully present. We get told to be true to ourselves. But somehow we're exhausted, we're empty, and we're stressed. What if we have to do the opposite of what we're told? What if we have things round the wrong way? So welcome to our Feb Talks. This year we're doing Unleashing the Power of Paradox, Flipping the Script on an Upside Down World, Season 2. And we're looking at stories that Jesus tells us in the Bible. And in these stories, there's a paradox. And Jesus will use this paradox to flip our upside down world the right way back up. And in February, we've been flipping the script on the paradox of living your best life, the paradox of chasing your dreams, the paradox of being true to yourself, and the paradox of living in the moment. And today is week 4. We're doing the final one, the paradox of living in the moment. And we're going to try to answer the question, well, how can I live in the moment? And this will come in the form of a 20-minute talk from me now, followed by question and answer from you guys. So as I'm speaking, think of whatever question you want to ask, send it to that QR code, and afterwards I'll do my best to answer it. I'm getting a ringing. Can we turn down whatever's causing the ringing? No one else is getting the ring? No? Just me? Oh, I must be coming. Yeah, there is? Okay, no, just keep going. All right, do as I'm told. All right, so we've just heard a story in the Bible where some people, they do follow the script of being in the moment, but there's going to be a paradox, and Jesus is going to flip the script for us. So how can I be in the moment? Well, the script simply is, you gotta live in the moment. In the story, we hear this. The kingdom of heaven will be like 10 bridesmaids who took their lamps and went to meet the bridegroom. Here we hear about some bridesmaids at a party, at a wedding, and they are hashtag fully present, hashtag living in the moment. Living in the moment is quite a cultural meme, and it simply means let's be fully present. Don't worry about the past. Don't worry about the future. Let's be fully present and be mindful. And it's a good thing to be fully present. We all have that urge. You know, it's that moment where the food comes out in a restaurant, and before you can eat it, someone wants to take a picture first. And you just want to say, can we please just be in the moment? It's that moment when you've sung happy birthday, the cake comes out, and someone says, oh, let's take a picture of the birthday person. No, wait, we need the family. No, wait, let's just have the boys. No, wait, let's just have the girls. No, wait, let's have the aunties now. No, wait, let's have the uncles. Now, and you think, oh, please, can we just be in the moment? Or it's that moment you're on a plane and you look around and everyone is on screens and devices and you think, please, can we just be in the moment? We're in 2,000 tons of metal in the sky. Humankind has wanted to do this for thousands of years and you're staring at your phone. Please, can we be in the moment? And if we could be in the moment, we will be fully present. And we would have that childlike, I might have the lights back on, sorry. We'll do that for the video, thanks. So if we could just be fully present, then we'd have that childlike joy, beauty, and see things as if it's for the very first time. So why are we still so exhausted, stressed, and unfulfilled? Well, there's a paradox, and the paradox is this, where you also have to live for the future. Let's go back to the story. 5 bridesmaids were foolish and 5 were wise. The 5 who were foolish didn't take enough olive oil for their lamps, but the other 5 were wise enough to take along extra oil. When the bridegroom was delayed, they all became drowsy and fell asleep. At midnight, they were roused by the shout, look, the bridegroom is coming. Come out and meet him. All the bridesmaids got up and prepared their lamps. Then the 5 foolish ones asked the others, please give us some of your oil because our lamps are going out. But the others replied, we don't have enough for all of us. Go to a shop and buy some for yourselves. Here we hear how some were so in the moment, they actually missed out. They weren't ready for the bridegroom when he came, and they end up missing out because you also have to prepare for the future. And we all know the joke about the skydiver who jumps out the plane. At 1,000 meters, they yell at him, pull the ripcord, pull the ripcord, pull the ripcord. And he says, no, I just want to be in the moment. And he's falling. And at 100 meters, they say, pull the ripcord, pull the ripcord, pull the ripcord. He goes, no, I just want to be in the moment. And at 10 meters, they're saying, pull the ripcord, pull the ripcord, pull the ripcord. He goes, no, I just want to be in the moment. And at 1 meter, they go, pull the ripcord, pull the ripcord, pull the ripcord. He goes, I can jump from here. But we know it doesn't work. He was so fully in the moment, he was unprepared for the future. It's the same for us. We can be in the moment, but if we're only in the moment, it's irresponsible because one day the future will also be the present. So how can we flip the script? And the flip is this: live for Jesus. Let's go back to the story. But while the foolish bridesmaids were gone to buy oil, the bridegroom arrived. Then those who were ready went in with him to the marriage feast, and the door was locked. Later, when the other 5 bridesmaids returned, they stood outside calling, Lord, Lord, open the door for us. But he called back, believe me, I don't know you. So you too must keep watch. And this is the punchline from Jesus, for you don't know the day or hour of my return. So here we hear about how the wise bridesmaids, they're ready, they're in the moment, but the moment has a purpose, and the purpose is the bridegroom. That's the whole point of the party. You're here for the bridegroom. Whereas the foolish bridesmaids miss out. They're so in the moment, they forget why they're actually there. So how can we be in the moment and also know why we're here? Well, here the flip is this. Recognize there are 2 types of actions. We have telic actions and atelic actions. And I'm borrowing this from Kiran Satir, who's a philosopher at MIT. And he explains there are actually two sorts of actions, telic and atelic. So let's explain it this way. Let's say I want to buy a flower for my wife. Why would I want to spend money on buying a flower for my wife? Well, here we have two answers. One way of answering this is, well, it's to appease my wife. If I answer this way, well, I'm being external, extrinsic, goal-orientated. I'm looking after the future, that my marriage will still be intact. I'm also recognizing there's a destiny, and I'm being responsible. I'm maintaining the relationship. So here I'm being telic. In other words, I'm being purpose-orientated. When I give the flower, it's a means towards something else. Or I have another way of answering this question. I say, well, I'm giving a flower simply because a flower is beautiful in and of itself. Here I'm looking at something intrinsic. I'm only present in the moment. I'm worrying about the journey, not the destination. And I'm being irresponsible because flowers are a waste of money. You're spending $20 on this thing and it just dies after 5 days. You might as well just flush the $20 down the toilet and say, there, I love you, because that just had exactly the same effect. And here I'm being atelic because I'm simply being in the moment. It's not a means towards an ends, it's an ends in and of itself. And I've lost all of you again because hands up who here did buy a flower for their partner on Valentine's Day last week. No, okay, maybe two hands. Okay, better example then. Well, okay, and here we understand, they're actually, so but bear with me, they're actually, you need both halves of the action because I'm simply here being purpose orientated. I really could just get the same effect with chocolate, right? And it'll be cheaper. And I could appease my wife with chocolate. But if I'm only being present, then sooner or later the money will run out and the flowers will run out as well. So you need to be both. And remember, we lost you here because we don't understand the flower analogy. So let's go dumplings instead. Why would you eat a dumpling? You could answer, well, nutrition, protein, salts. So here you're being goal, future, destiny, responsible. It's a telic action, purpose-orientated. Or you can simply say, well, I ate a dumpling because it tastes good. So you're being intrinsic, present, journey, irresponsible, atelic. You're just being in the moment as you eat the dumpling. So let's apply this to all of life then. Why would you study? Why would you work? Why would you play sport? Why would you go on holidays? Well, you could answer telic and atelic. You say, well, it's purposeful. These things lead to a better outcome. Or you can say these things are good in and of themselves. And you actually need both to be working in our life. So we do this by the second flip, live for Jesus who makes this possible. Now in Sydney, we're famous for our beaches. But if you go to New York City on Manhattan Island, it's famous for its super skyscrapers, which we don't have in Sydney. Now, how are these skyscrapers possible? Well, simply because these skyscrapers are on a foundation, which is Manhattan Island itself, which is a solid rock. So it's not like sandy. That's why you can build these these tall skyscrapers. So we always need a foundation. So what's the foundation for our life? We too need a foundation of purpose and goodness to build our life upon. That's our solid bedrock. But then if you think about it, if there's no God, technically it's very hard to argue there's any such thing as good or bad, and we lose that foundation. And if there's no God and we're just atoms and molecules, we're just blips on the timeline of the universe, we didn't have to be here, and and there's no reason why we're here, then suddenly there's no purpose. And so we lose our foundation, and our life itself becomes thin, and it's just floating on nothing. This is Ian McGilchrist, not a Christian, psychiatrist, neuroscientist, And he argues that if there's no God, that's why there's a meta crisis, because we have no foundation for what is true, what is good, what is beautiful. We have a meaning crisis because suddenly we don't know why we're here or where we're going. And that's what's leading to a mental crisis. That's why we're stressed and anxious and exhausted. But the good news of the Bible is this. Jesus is the Son of God. He's the bridegroom in the story. There really is a God, and he's a good God. Jesus is so good, he dies for us on the cross. So now we have a basis for goodness. And Jesus didn't stay dead. He rose from the dead, meaning we have a future hope also that we too will rise from the dead. We also have forgiveness of sins. We have a new life. We can be part of Team Jesus. We have a reason to be here, to spread Jesus' love, mercy, and justice on this planet. We have a direction. We belong to a story bigger than just our own story. So the wise bridesmaids get it right because they're in the moment, yes, but they know this moment has a purpose, and the purpose is the bridegroom. They're living for the bridegroom, and as Jesus says, he is the bridegroom. And we too can live in the moment, enjoy the goodness, the beauty of the moment, but know that this moment exists because of Jesus and it helps us live for Jesus, a bigger story than just our own. So do you remember our original question? It was this: how can I live in the moment? And today we've seen the script we're usually given is this: you've got to live in the moment. But this by itself is too thin because the paradox is, well, you also have to live for the future. But we've seen how if we flip it by saying live for Jesus, then in Jesus we have both purpose and goodness. We have both the future and the now. And we have the why. Why am I here? And the what. What am I doing? Now, for Christmas, we bought a drum set for the Chan family. And a drum set is so fun because as you're banging away, you are in the moment. You can get lost in there. There's goodness, there's beauty, there's flow. But at the same time, you have to be in time. That's the whole point of playing the drums. You have to be on rhythm, on beat. What is our rhythm, our beat in life? You know, the Bible has a very strange verse, and it says this: Jesus is the Logos, which is a fancy Greek word for not just word, but the rhythm, the logic of life, who became flesh, who became one of us. Jesus is the rhythm. He's the purpose. So in Jesus, we can have goodness, the moment, but in Jesus, we can be on beat, in rhythm, in time with the universe. This is Ayaan Hirsi Ali. Maybe you're familiar with her story. I've talked about her many times. She grew up with a very, let's say, militant religious fundamentalism background, and understandably so, she reacted against that, became one of the new atheists, became a champion for new atheism. But after a while, only about 2 years ago, she actually went through a mental crisis because she said, well, if there's no God, well, what is value? What is good? What is beauty? Why am I here? Why am I even living? And that's when she realized she needed God to be her goodness and purpose. And she needed the Judeo-Christian God to give her that goodness and purpose. The bridesmaids were in the moment, but they also knew this moment had a purpose. And the purpose was the bridegroom. And we too can enjoy the beauty of the moment, knowing that it exists for a purpose, so that we too can live for Jesus. Because in Jesus, we have both the what and the why.
Right. Thanks, Sam. So we've got Team Sam up here. How good is it, Sam and Sam?
Sam and Sam.
Yeah, I'm the odd one out.
And actuaries, like Sam's an actuary.
Yeah.
Karen made the announcement as
Karen,
actuary.
she's an actuary as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
how amazing is that?
Yeah. Wow.
As part of City Bible Forum, I give talks in the city to actuaries. I love talking to actuaries because you don't have to be very interesting.
They just like their brains are just like I can just compute as many facts as you throw
But
at
you
me.
know, they work out the algorithm to work
Yeah.
out the day you die. Like, as they're looking at you, they're reading your soul, and they know the day and the minute you will die.
That's right.
And they're telling the insurance company that. And that's
Okay.
why your premiums are what they are. Your insurance company knows the day you'll die because of people like Sam and Karen.
That's right.
I once asked Sam, hey, so listen, is it better if I don't pay for parking and pay the occasional parking fine, or should I pay for parking every time and not get the parking fine? He refused to answer that question.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
He
Sounds
knows
like
the answer, but
he's
he
got
just
some
refuses.
inside
Yeah.
information there that's too dangerous to share.
Yeah.
Well, nice. Well, we have had such a great month of Feb Talks, and our last one today, we have some questions coming through. So our first question from today is, I completely understand what you're saying, and I totally agree. Great talk. But how would you deal with the intricacy of of not living for tomorrow, because God only gives us the skills to deal with today, like in Matthew 6:34. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. I get that Jesus allows us to accomplish this living in the moment and future, but I guess I'm more wondering actual application of that delicate balance.
Yeah, and I think this is where sports psychologists have a saying, which is just perfect. Control the controllables. Control what you can control and leave the uncontrollables to God. It's as simple as that. And that's actually why there's as Ian McGilchrist put it, a mental crisis right now. Because if there's no God, you actually only have one option, or two options. One option is there is no God and nothing is in control. And that's really scary. Or there's no God, so I have to control everything, and that's just scary as well. So our option then is there is a God, he controls the uncontrollables, and I make sure I control my controllables.
Good. And what is this like? Can you give us an example of like I'm hearing this person saying like practical application? Can you give us an example of what might that look like day to day? Challenge of things I struggle to control.
Well, one example is my boy Toby's going through year 12, HSC, and he controls the controllables. He makes sure he does what the teachers tell him, get the assignments done on time. But you don't worry about the uncontrollables. What if you get sick on the day of the exam? What if there's a family crisis and you can't make it to the exam? And they're the uncontrollables. Don't worry, God has that. What if you're aiming for this subject and this year for some reason, instead of needing 85, now you need 89? Well, that's uncontrollable. Don't worry. Trust God with the uncontrollables.
Great practical example for our HSC students.
Yeah.
That's a big one, because if you stress about trying to control the things beyond your control, it will destroy you, right? Yeah, cool. Okay, next question. How do we help our friends or family, or even those we aren't as close with, who lean too much to one side, either only living for the moment or only future-proofing themselves?
That's why it was so fun coming up with these talks, weren't they? Because we're thinking, what Asian really lives in the moment? they're so future orientated. You go to a Chinese restaurant for a meal, don't order the drinks. That's where the markup is. You think, please be in the moment. Can we just order a drink, just a Coke, please? It's only $4. Wholesome la, just live a little. Or you go to the movies, don't get the popcorn, don't get the choc top. Please, can we just be in the moment? So I think, there is a corrective there. And that's where those verses in the Bible are corrective. Like, good things are given to you from a good God to be enjoyed with thanksgiving and an enjoyment. So please smell the roses, be present, be thankful. So for Asians who are so future-orientated, task-orientated, risk-averse, I think learn to be thankful. Just be thankful. Slow down, smell the roses. Maybe the most practical thing is put the phone away. Like I tell my children, learn to be bored. It's good to be bored. Just lean into it, live in the moment, be bored, and thank God that we can be bored. And just live in that moment and smell. And soon you see the goodness and the beauty. Try to be like a 4-year-old. If you've ever walked with a 4-year-old, a 5-minute walk takes 50 minutes because they stop and they see beauty and wonder and joy in everything. A leaf, a bug, a crack in the sidewalk. So maybe learn to be a 4-year-old, put the phone away.
And you know, if you were, say, like giving this talk to a crowd you thought were like erring on the other side of the spectrum, they are like, but before we go there, I want to hear about this. What is, I can't say this, but I'm tone deaf, but Hosamla, is that what you said? What is that? Like, what
Hosamla.
Hosamla
Means good heart la.
Okay. Good heart la.
You can't translate. Yeah.
Okay.
I think, so if we're only in the moment, recognise there's a good God who's given us these things. They're good in and of themselves. But at the same time, he's put us in a kingdom, and this is a team game. And I'm not only living for myself. As we said last week, I'm living here to love and serve others. So at that moment, think, how is this equipping me for loving and serving others and loving and worshipping God?
And so if you're here, you know, with us today, you're thinking, hey, like, learn to live in the moment, live a little, have a good heart, la. And and if you were giving this talk to surfers on the northern beaches, you'd be going, hey guys, think about the future a little bit. Like, don't just live it for that next wave that you're catching.
Yeah, and think this is good in and of itself. But look how God's used this to refresh, restore, and recharge you for the day ahead of you. So and then let's use that now for good. Yeah, it's that Spider-Man, you know, to whoever's been given much. Now there's much to be expected. So God now expects much from you.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, last question. This is an epic moment, Sam. We've got to the last question of Pep Talks 2025. Okay.
Yes.
Christians in the routine of being a Christian. Traditionally, Christians can sometimes be seen as killjoys, e.g. see how we are portrayed in shows or cartoons maybe. Do you ever think there are some things some of us who have been Christians a long time can learn living more in the moment, e.g. so we can maybe appreciate God's beauty more? I think you kind of answered this, but we'll just finish reading it so we can come alongside people who don't know Jesus yet, our non-Christian friends.
Yeah, so Ian McGilchrist, who I love quoting, and he's not a Christian, but he's just put out all this stuff on how in the West, ever since the Enlightenment, 1600s, 1800 onwards, we've become what he calls very left-brain privileged, just worrying about facts, data, propositions, ideas, when we need to re-explore the right brain, where we just look at art, culture, beauty, music, the imagination. And so for most of us here, brought up in a diet of Westernism, where everything's been very left-brain, PowerPoint slides, bullet points, maybe just read poetry, listen to music, paint, and just try to awaken the imagination. And Aristotle has the Aristotelian trilogy, truth, goodness, and beauty. And maybe we've enjoyed God's truth, but not looked at goodness and beauty as well. So maybe spend days thinking, what am I thankful for? And what is good and beautiful about this moment? Try to learn to see goodness, beauty, and wisdom as well as just truth, and explore the right side of the brain.
Wow. Thank you so much, Sam. Let's give Sam a
Thanks, Andrew.
round of
Thank you.
applause, like, show appreciation.